Welcome to Beyond the Phenomenon. We wanted to take a moment to apologize for the delay since our last video. When we started the process of looking for a case example to act as a follow-up to our investigation on the Pennsylvania UFO and Bigfoot sighting flap of 1973 and 1974, we had no idea how far down the rabbit hole this investigation would take us. Over the last several weeks, we have scoured historic UFO reports from NICAP, the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena. We have combed through previously classified U.S. Air Force documents on flight characteristics and material sample analysis. We have read declassified internal correspondence and notes from Project Blue Book investigators as they attempted to squash a very visible UFO story of high public interest. We've seen declassified CIA documents highlighting their persistent and keen interest in UFO matters and how the phenomenon is covered in the national media. We read the private manuscript of the last Chief of Project Blue Book, published posthumously by NIDS, the National Institute for Discovery Science. What we found is one of the most curious cases of simultaneous UFO and Bigfoot sightings, the Presque Isle State Park UFO and Bigfoot incident of July 31st, 1966. We've pulled every name from every document and report on this case and built a comprehensive human terrain map of all parties known to have been involved. Let's take a second to give a brief summary of the main sighting as reported by the primary direct witnesses. On July 31st, 1966, a group of friends from the area of Jamestown and Greenhurst, New York, decided to go for a summertime evening picnic on the shores of Lake Erie at Presque Isle State Park. The group consisted of Betty Jean Clem, her boyfriend Douglas Tibbetts, Anita Haifley, and her two young daughters aged 2 and 6 months, and Gerold La Belle. They arrived at the park at approximately 8 p.m. After having a barbecue picnic dinner on the beach, some people were interested in going swimming. It was at that point that they discovered their car was stuck in the sand. Gerold knew some people in Erie that might be able to help tow their car out of the sand. Some people at a neighboring picnic table offered to take Gerold into town to get help. Unfortunately, Gerold was unfamiliar with the area and would be gone for several hours trying to locate help. While Gerold was away, the other members of the party awaited his return at the picnic site. Once it finished getting dark, the party went inside the car to await Gerold's return. The Presque Isle State Park police found the car stuck in the sand but were told that help was on the way. They promised to come back and check on them later. Shortly following the first police encounter at approximately 10:15 p.m., the party observed a bright light descend rapidly from the sky and head directly towards their area. They witnessed an object land behind a row of trees a few hundred feet away. The party felt a vibration or low rumbling hum as the object settled down to the ground. The object then sent out a bright series of beams of light as it appeared to be scanning the surrounding area for something. The lights went out. When the police returned to check on the car, Douglas flagged them down and told them what they had seen. He then left with the police up the beach in the direction they had seen the object land. At this point, Betty, Anita, and her two small children were in the car. Betty noticed a large hairy creature moving closer to their car. She told Anita to get down and she used her body to cover the sleeping children. As the creature approached their car, they grew increasingly panicked. Anita slammed on the horn of the car, causing the creature to flee and drawing the attention of Douglas and the police officers who hurried back to the car. They found the women crying. Anita was particularly terrified and shaken and would remain so for hours. The Presque Isle State Park police took the opportunity to close down the park and begin an investigation, taking the members of the party from their car to the police building there on the park. It was approximately this time that Gerold returned, having secured a car to help his friends. When he arrived, he was stopped at a police barricade and told that there had been some trouble on the beach, and it involved some people from Jamestown. Eventually, he met up with his friends at the police building and was able to drive them back to Jamestown later that morning. This case has a little something for everyone. In addition to high strangeness of UFO sightings and dark, abominable snowman-like shadow creatures, we have a classic example of a deception campaign by the Air Force to try to discredit the observations and reputations of the witnesses. We have destruction of physical evidence by Air Force Project Blue Book personnel. We have multiple groups of eyewitnesses reporting encounters over several days of this mini flap. There are reports of mysterious creatures terrorizing the citizens of Erie, Pennsylvania in the days following the first sighting. We have local media capturing photographic and video evidence only to have that evidence confiscated by the Air Force and CIA. To the best of our knowledge, this footage has never been released. It has either been deliberately destroyed or remains classified despite the Freedom of Information Act request. For those people who are interested in the work of John Keel, author of the Mothman Prophecies, he investigated this case prior and concurrent to the events leading up to the Silver Bridge collapse in December of 1967. Civilian experts ruled out mundane natural phenomena such as meteorites, balloons, weather, or misidentified stellar objects. Coast Guard ruled out the presence of lights from boats on the lake at the time of the sightings. Police investigators who interviewed the witnesses and discovered tracks and possible landing imprints determined the witnesses to be highly credible. Park staff ruled out animals for the large creature sighting. Multiple witnesses corroborate multiple aspects of this story across multiple days, yet the Air Force claims it was a hoax, conceived by a boyfriend and girlfriend to deceive their friends and gain attention. We intend to do a series of deep dives on different aspects of this case, the timeline of events as reconstructed from witness testimony, the multiple corroborating witnesses and the expanded mini-flap, the nature and biases of the investigation by the Air Force Project Blue Book staff, a 21st century revisitation of the events in light of what is now known about the phenomenon, as well as the list of open-ended questions that remain, and what that means for future avenues of investigation such as archival searches and new FOIA requests. We hope that you find the results of our investigation as interesting and compelling as we do. If you like what you've heard so far, please subscribe, share, comment, and like the video. Click the link in the video description or on the end card to watch part 2 or to check out or playlist with the upcoming episodes as we delve beyond the phenomenon.